Hello, BookTube. Well, I have a mail haul here, the last mail haul of the week, and I'm hoping it's small. It's only 4 packages, and I'm hoping it goes as well as the last one did. This week has taught me something that I didn't know in all these videos that I've made, and that is that there's something worse than an irritating or maddening mail haul, and that's a mail haul that leaves you indifferent, a boring mail haul. That was a surprise, a shock to me, to film a mail haul and think, this isn't worth anyone seeing. And it's unusual, too. It requires that the tumblers all fall into place in just the wrong way, because keep in mind, I request most of the books I get. So it doesn't stand to reason that an entire mail haul would be a dud. It just happened that one time. So we're going to hope for better this time. Let's work our way through these packages and see what we see. This first one is from Grey Wolf, a very eggheady publisher. Oh, goodness gracious. And right away, my eyes settle on translated from the Norwegian, so they're going true to form. This comes out in late March, and this is Carl Frode Tiller, Encircling 2, Origins. Ooh. A novel. Oy. Okay. All right. Let's see what we have here. I did not request this, so we'll have to hope for this. Let's see. Oh no, this is a sequel. The first book was called Encircling. This is Encircling 2, part 2 of a trilogy. Oh no. All right, well, let's see here. With steadily growing suspense, Carl Frode Tiller's carefully scored polyphony of voices continues to piece together the fractured identity of David, the absent central figure in the Encircling trilogy. To remind David of the memories he lost, 3 friends write about his childhood on the island of Oteroya. Ole, a farmer struggling to save his floundering marriage, Tom Roger, a rough-edged and violent outsider, and Paula, a former midwife harboring an explosive secret. Filled with questions and answers that stay tantalizingly out of reach, Encircling 2, Origins, is an exhilarating look at how identity is influenced by our friendships, and a masterful book in the Encircling trilogy. And the author lives in Trondheim, which I love. I visited Trondheim a couple of times and loved it. This is translated from the Norwegian by Barbara Haviland, and I'm thinking I probably need to request a copy of Encircling if I'm going to make any sense out of this, because I certainly don't recall ever having read it. Okay, so a Norwegian novel of an eggheady variety to start us off. Let's see what we have next. These are 4 packages. 2 of them are cardboard. One of them is vacuum pressed, and the other is a great heavy box. So who knows what lies ahead. This is our last ordinary envelope. Let's see what we have here. Okay, I didn't request this either. Okay, looks like a thriller. It's by David Krugler, and it's called Rip the Angels from Heaven, due in July. Quite the striking cover. There's a paperclip, an intelligence file, a beautiful woman, an atomic bomb blast. Okay, so what have we got here? Washington, D.C., 1945. Lieutenant Ellis Voigt of the Office of Naval Intelligence is desperate to keep the secrets that threaten his life. The war overseas is going well for America, but Voigt can't escape the web of double agents and undercover spies who follow his every move. The FBI suspects that he is the communist who murdered a naval officer in a Washington back alley. The Soviets believe he's holding back information from their contacts, and they're willing to use any means necessary to extract it. When Voigt is sent to New Mexico on a secret mission to identify a Soviet spy, he's tailed by both the FBI and the Russians. This guy's neither side trusts him. Oh my! And is running out of people he can trust. As the team at Los Alamos prepares to test an atomic bomb in the desert, Voigt faces a dilemma he's been trying to avoid. He can stop the Soviets from getting the bomb, or he can save himself, but he might not be able to do both. Okay, I didn't request this, but had I known about it and read that description, I certainly would have. All right. Okay, so who is David Krugler when he's at home? He's a historian and novelist. He's a professor of history at the University of His first novel, The Dead Don't Bleed, also was published by Pegasus Crime. The Dead Don't Bleed. Don't think I remember that. Rip the Angels from Heaven. Okay, that sounds pretty good. I will certainly read this. Okay. All right, great. I know I'm not, for the more snooty precincts of BookTube, I'm not covering myself in glory that I'm all excited about the World War II era Soviet spy thriller, but not for Encircling 2. Translated from the Norwegian. And I'm guessing only slightly translated from the Norwegian. But what can I say? I'll read them both. Let's see what this next one is. Oh, okay. I've heard about this. I didn't request this either. Boy, oh boy. And this comes out at the end of this month. I've heard about this. It's getting word of mouth that I think is fascinating. This is There Are No Dead Here, a story of murder and denial in Colombia by Maria McFarlane Sanchez Moreno. This has been getting word of mouth in corners that I watch and respect. Maybe I should read this, even though it's late in the day to review it. Colombia's drug-fueled cycle of terror, corruption, and tragedy did not end with Pablo Escobar's death in 1993. Just when the Colombians were ready to move past the murderous legacy of the country's cartels, a new bloody chapter unfolded. In the late 1990s, right-wing paramilitary groups with close ties to the cocaine business carried out a violent expansion campaign, massacring, raping, and torturing thousands. There Are No Dead Here is the harrowing story of three ordinary Colombians who risked everything to reveal the collusion between the new mafia and much of the country's military and political establishment. Jesus Maria Valle, a human rights activist who was murdered for exposing a dark secret. Ivan Velasquez, a quiet prosecutor who took up Valle's cause and became an unlikely hero. And Ricardo Calderon, a dogged journalist who is still being targeted for his revelations. Taking readers from the sweltering Medellin streets where criminal investigators were hunted by assassins, through the countryside where paramilitaries wiped out entire towns, and into the corridors of presidential palaces in Bogota, There Are No Dead Here is an unforgettable portrait of the valiant men and women who dared to stand up to the tide of greed, rage, bloodlust that threatened to engulf their country. And one of the brave people not mentioned in this summary, I would bet at her own insistence, is our author. That description, if it tells you nothing else, tells you that this was a very unsafe book to research. And here it is. So who is she? My, look at that. That is a brave face. She's an executive director of the Drug Policy Alliance. Previously, she held several positions at Human Rights Watch, including as the organization's senior Americas researcher covering Colombia and Peru, and as the co-director of its U.S. program. Oh my. Okay. Yeah, this has blurbs all over it. Comes out at the end of the month, the last day of the month. You know, I might want to write about this. I certainly want to read it before then. This looks important. Okay. All right. Well, that's neither here nor there. I can figure it out. I just this afternoon went through the horrifyingly painful process of going over to my February shelf of books, which had easily 110 books on it. Easily. I went over to the shelf and I felt like a surgeon in an old Hollywood movie where I walked up very solemnly and stood there and just said, I'm afraid some of you aren't going to make it. Because there's no sense in holding over a February book for review in March. March is just as bad, and it is going to get worse as the spring ramps up. So what I'm going to review in February, I'm going to do in the next 15 days. And that means a serious amount of culling. Serious. Painful. I'm trying to figure out some other way. There's got to be some way that I have a very gimmicky brain. I think up gimmicks all the time. We had to in the old newspaper days. There's got to be a way for me to notice these books in a useful way in written form, as opposed to, this, as opposed to, of course, we go through a huge number of books. Far more books get discussed on this channel in the course of a month than I review in the course of a month. But there's got to be a written version. Something better than in the old days, about 40 years ago, newspapers, sometimes in America, a lot in the UK, used to have a little feature in smaller font type that was books received. And it was just a list of the books they got. It was sort of a concession on the part of literary journals, like the TLS was called the Lit Sup at the time, and they did it. And a whole bunch of other things journals did too. It was kind of a concession to the fact that the editors knew they were not going to get around to reviewing all of these books, even the worthy ones, even the ones they wanted to. There just wasn't going to be the manpower or the time or the space. But they wanted to acknowledge it somehow. That wasn't much of an acknowledgement, and I'm wondering if there's... I'll figure it out. Open Letters Review is in good hands. I'm sure that we can figure out something. But in the meantime, I had to have that conversation with my February shelf, and this wasn't even there. I never got an advance copy of this, so that just adds to the gruesome body pile. But anyway, I can figure that out in time. Now we have the box. So this is either one huge book, or it's multiple books. Let's see. Oh, it's multiple books. All right, what have we got here? Okay. All right, it's two big books. What on earth? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Wow. All right. Somebody at the University of Chicago Press deserves a box of chocolates from Steve, because somebody is paying attention to me specifically, and this isn't even a review type thing. This is more like, we want you to know about this, or have this, or... Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I should show you what I'm spooging about, shouldn't I? This is a 2-volume textbook. Building the American Republic. Volume 1 and Volume 2. On one hand, you have the Capitol being built. On the other hand, you have the Statue of Liberty going up. Volume 1 is a narrative history to 1877 and is by Harry Watson. And Volume 2 is a narrative history from 1877 and it's by Jane Daly. And the pub sheet, maybe if I read it to you, it'll make more sense. The University of Chicago Press has announced that it will be making its forthcoming American history textbook, Building the American Republic, available free as an ebook. The 2-volume set will be downloadable with DRM, making it one of the first American history textbooks backed by a university press to be offered completely free in digital form. How incredible. Building the American Republic was written as a narrative history that begins with the earliest Americans and ends with the 2016 election. Okay. The University of Chicago Press acquired the project in 2013 and recognized an opportunity to step outside the typical textbook model. Good. The typical textbook model is ferociously corrupt. The volume eschews charts, links, and supplementary materials for a straightforward, highly readable history. And the acquiring editor, Timothy Mennel, says, "Our hope is that the narrative strength, formal simplicity, and easy access to these books will make them popular for students and teachers alike." How incredible. Building the American Republic is available for download at the buildingamericanrepublic.com, so you can download it. Just go to buildingtheamericanrepublic.com and download these books. In case you want a long and new and fresh narrative history of the United States, which who wouldn't want that? It will also be available at all major e-retailers. And the paperback version will also be available and will be priced at $30 a volume. Okay, because that makes perfect sense, because it requires money to manufacture a paperback volume. Okay. All right, so Building the American Republic is available to you as a free download. It's not like an Amazon download where they can remove it at any time. It's yours to keep. These books for free. And that project warrants attention. Okay. So there ought to be a way. Now, see, they acquired this project in 2013. They've worked to digitize it and to make it a free textbook online. So these don't have a specific release date. They're out already. The project is ongoing. So this doesn't add to my February shelf woes, and yet is something I could legitimately write about, that I should write about. Fantastic. Okay. Wow, I never know what's coming. All right. So we have 2-volume Narrative History of the United States, which you can also get. It's free. Then There Are No Dead Here, a story of murder and denial in Colombia. Then Rip the Angels from Heaven, about an American agent who's burning the candle at both ends right at the time of Los Alamos. And then Encircling 2, Origins, by Carl Frode Tiller, who lives in Trondheim. All right, so there you go. Well, that certainly wasn't a dud of a mail haul. I don't know what to make about any of it, but I'll figure it out on my own time. I'll sign off for now, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.